Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 39th Annual Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'm Bob Kessling. This event has grown to be one of the largest sports Hall of Fames in the country. Unfortunately, this season, we cannot get together all in one place. So our thanks to Channel 8 and its production crew for making this program available tonight so you can see the inductees and we can celebrate their accomplishments. Over the next hour, we will honor the top athletes, the High School Athletes of the Year, the Chad Pennington Pro Athlete of the Year, the Will McCamey Spirit Award, the Buck Vaughn Legacy Award, and Charles Davis, the former Tennessee defensive back and now one of the lead analysts at CBS Sports, will be our guest speaker. Proceeds from this year's event, as usual, go to benefit the programs and services of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Tennessee Valley. We'll talk about the impact of this organization in our community later in our program tonight. We begin tonight's program, though, with the Pat Summitt Ignite Greatness Award. To make the presentation, Channel 8 news anchor Ted Hall.
Legendary coach Pat Summitt inspired many athletes to reach their greatest potential on and off the court. And tonight, we honor Trey Smith with the Pat Summitt Ignite Greatness Award for his incredible play on the field and his commitment to giving back to his community. A native of Jackson, Tennessee, Trey is an All-American caliber left guard for UT and enters his senior season as one of the top returning players in the SEC. Trey garnered first-team All-SEC honors in 2019. He was in 13 games, 12 starts, led the Vols to a victory over Indiana in the Gator Bowl. Off the field, Trey was named the Jason Witten Collegiate Man of the Year and the inaugural recipient of the Fritz Pollard Trophy given to the collegiate player who exemplifies extraordinary courage, community values, and exceptional performance on the field. In 2018 and 2019, Trey spearheaded a coat drive for CARM. For his work in the community, Trey was named to the SEC Community Service Team. Embodying all aspects of this award, we are proud to name Trey Smith this year's Pat Summitt Ignite Greatness Award winner. Let's listen to some of the Trey's words that he shared with us earlier.
Yeah, so whenever I found out I was getting the Pat Summitt Award, it means the world to me because first off, Coach Summitt exemplifies the ultimate leader. She exemplifies what it means to be a coach and be a leader of people. I have a couple of experiences with Coach Summitt when I was younger. I actually grew up an Alabama fan, intense Alabama fan, and at the time, my kindergarten teacher, she really got me into Alabama football. She actually was a college roommate and a college friend of Pat Summitt at the time, so she was able to get my family and I tickets. My sister grew up a huge Lady Vols fan. All our life, we were watching Lady Vols all the time at home. So being able to go down and watch them, that was a great moment. They were actually playing the University of Alabama. My dad kept telling me, Trey, you cannot wear any crimson. You cannot wear any Alabama gear whatsoever. So we ended up going to the game. We're sitting behind the bench, as my dad told me, and all of a sudden he keeps hearing someone booing the Lady Vols. Boo, every time they scored, they were just beating up on Alabama. And he's like, who is that? Like, who's acting crazy in the section? He turns and looks. He's like, oh, my gosh, it's my son. And at the time, I actually pulled out an Alabama hat and put it on. But the thing that sticks out about that moment to me was, even though I was acting sort of like a jerk even when I was younger, Pat Summitt turned around, looked at me, and just smiled and winked. And she said, there goes another one, each time they scored. But one thing about Pat Summitt always stuck out to me in my moments of being with her and being around her, as little much as it was, she took the time out of her day, no matter how important the issues, for every fan, every common person. And that really exemplifies who she was as a woman and as a person and as a leader. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter your religion, creed, ethnicity. She was going to take time out of her day to reach out and impact someone's life every day. And for that, I thank her, and I want to follow her leadership and her example for the rest of my life.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Jerry Punch. This year's recipient of the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame Pro Athlete of the Year Award is a homegrown product from right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. He attended Bearden High School before embarking on a record-setting career playing for Phillip Fulmer at the University of Tennessee. It was during his junior year at UT in 2003 he earned recognition as a consensus first-team All-American. He was chosen by Kansas City in the third round of the 2005 NFL Draft, making him the first punter drafted by the Chiefs in over a decade. In 2006, he led the NFL in net punting average. In 2019, he became just the second player in franchise history to accrue 15 seasons in the league. So not only did he have the hang time with those booming punts, he also had hang time with that outstanding 15-year pro career. In fact, he holds the record for most regular season games ever played by a punter with one team in NFL history. He was selected to the Pro Bowl twice, and these past 2 years, he was the Chiefs nominee for Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, which speaks to his off-the-field character and integrity. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the 2020 Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame Pro Athlete of the Year, Dustin Colquitt. Congratulations, Dustin, on your fabulous career.
Hey everybody in Tennessee, Vol for Life, Dustin Colquitt. I just wanted to reach out to you guys in Vol's Kingdom and also Chiefs Nation and just really thank you for the big honor. I was just told that I was going to be the recipient of the Chad Pennington Professional Athlete of the Year Award, and for the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, this is a huge honor for not only me but also for my family. I finally got to get in the ranks and join in the conversation with my dad and my brother. The Chiefs got to win a Super Bowl this year, Super Bowl 54. It was a lot of fun, a lot of ups and downs, but when we finally got down that field, marched down that field and won, it really felt good. I could finally have those Super Bowl conversations, not only with my dad and my brother, but with my wife, who worked so hard. She's a Vol for Life. Our whole family's a Vol for Life, and so I just want to thank you for the great award, the great honor, and go Vols.
Ralph Buck Jones spent 25 years as an associate professor of physical education and sports management at the University of Tennessee. Buck was the public address announcer for nearly all UT track and cross-country meets from 1982 through 2018. As part of his 50 years as a track and field announcer, Buck called numerous SEC and Big Ten championship meets, NCAA regional track meets, and the 1992 NCAA cross-country championships. He also announced AAU track and field meets in Knoxville and at the ESPN Sports Complex at Walt Disney World. Buck created the track and field event management team for the University of Tennessee and the Partners in Sports program in 1997. Buck also serves as official scorer for Tennessee basketball and is heavily involved with the Visit Knoxville Open Golf Tournament. Buck received the Lifetime Achievement Award presented by UT Track and Field in 1995. The Governor's Award for work with Tennessee Sports Fest in 1992, and was named an honorary Tennessee Letterman in 2005. Because of Buck's dedication to young people and his work in the track and field world, we are proud to honor Buck Jones with this year's Special Recognition Award. Congratulations, Buck. This is well deserved.
Our male high school athlete of the year is Elijah Young from South Doyle. Elijah rushed for 2,170 yards. He also scored 39 touchdowns and he averaged 28 yards on kickoff returns. He was the Gatorade State Player of the Year. He also made All-State. In track, he ran the 100 in 10.7 seconds. He ran the 200 in 21.81. Elijah signed with Missouri. Our high school male athlete of the year, Elijah Young. Our high school female athlete of the year is Callie Grace Tucker of Catholic High School. She was All-State 3 times in cross country, 3 times in the 2-mile. She qualified also for the National New Balance Indoors and in the 2-mile and the 5K, both held in New York City. She set school records in the 800, the mile, and the 2-mile. She has signed with Tennessee. Our female high school athlete of the year, Callie Grace Tucker.
Buck Vaughn had the idea 39 years ago to start the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. The idea was twofold: to honor the great athletes in our community for their accomplishments and also to raise funds for the Boys and Girls Club. Well, by the growth of this event over the years, it's been able to do just that. For an update on the Boys and Girls Club at the Tennessee Valley, here's Bart McFadden, the president and CEO.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Obviously, we are in unprecedented times, as we are all very aware. But what has not changed during these last few months is the commitment that Boys and Girls Clubs of the Tennessee Valley has to young people in our region. Since March 13th, when schools let out for what would be the remainder of the school year, our clubs have stayed focused on serving kids each and every day, not missing a single day of service, making sure early on that children were fed and that essential workers had a safe place for their young folks to go while they were helping keep our region moving. As we've rolled into the summer, our clubs have shifted our focus to helping close the academic gap for kids that was created by the closing of school and then the traditional summer slide. Also making sure that kids are staying physically active and staying connected with friends and peers, socially growing as they should. We know that the future for young people isn't changing. It's not stopping, and it's not getting any further away. We've got to continue to prepare young people for what's ahead. At Boys and Girls Club, we stay committed to our mission to enable all young people, especially those that need us most, to reach their full potential as responsible, productive, caring citizens. Over the last 3.5 months, we've served nearly 2,500 kids with our programming that promotes academic success, healthy lifestyles, and good character and citizenship. I think we would all agree, now more than ever, our community needs our clubs, our kids need the programs that are offered here, and we all need the young people of our community to be successful. The Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame has been a supporter of the Boys and Girls Clubs for 39 years, and we couldn't be more proud of our association with this event and what it helps us do for young people. The themes between sports and the lessons we intend to teach at Boys and Girls Clubs are synonymous with one another. Thank you again for watching tonight. Thank you to our sponsors, and especially our title sponsor, First Horizon Bank, and their leader, Dave Miller.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of First Horizon Bank, congratulations to the class of 2020 and the other honorees this evening. Thank you also to the many sponsors of the Sports Hall of Fame and these awards. And a special thank you to WVLT for making tonight's broadcast possible. One of the reasons we're so proud to sponsor this evening is that we believe in the power of sport. That's why First Horizon has been the official bank of the Vols for 3 decades. But for us, it's so much bigger than that. Sports, we all know, brings out some of our most important human qualities. The will to succeed, the drive to be our best, the drive to help others be their best. It ignites passion and brings us together for a common cause. In a world where so much today seeks to divide us and separate us and isolate us from one another, whether it's the global pandemic or persisting racial injustices, we can all agree we need more things that unite us and bring us together. I think that's why we all look forward to the days when we can again see our kids on the field, when we can watch our favorite teams and watch our favorite sporting events. The other reason we support this evening is because we believe in making our community stronger. Each year through our foundation and other sources, First Horizon invests $1.4 million with 130 different nonprofits right here in Knoxville. Since the start of the pandemic several months ago, we've invested an additional $350,000 to help those same nonprofits and so many folks in need in this community. One organization we've always been proud to support is the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Tennessee Valley. In normal times, Bart and his team do an incredible job serving young people in our community, as you just heard. But during the pandemic, they've truly raised their game. The clubs have expanded their traditional programs and now also provide critical child care services for hundreds of healthcare providers and other vital workers, including some at my very own company. Like the great athletes we're honoring tonight, the Boys and Girls Clubs saw a challenge and they've worked tirelessly to address it. We're grateful to support their work, the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, and all of tonight's honorees. Thank you so much, and stay safe.
The Buck Vaughn Legacy Award honors the tireless work of the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame's late founder, Emmett P. Buck Vaughn Jr. Buck was well known and highly respected. He was a leader dedicated to his faith in God, his family, and service to our community. After a year of dedicated work in the summer of 1982, his lifelong dream became a reality with the first ever Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame event. Tonight we honor Buck's legacy as we recognize 14 local athletes who had their Olympic dreams cut short. The 1980 Summer Olympics boycott was one part of a number of actions initiated by the United States and other countries protesting the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Due to this boycott, a number of athletes from the Tennessee Valley area were unable to live their Olympic dream that summer. For this reason, the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame proudly honors these Olympians collectively with the Buck Vaughn Legacy Award. Athletes honored tonight include Doug Brown, track and field, cross country, USA. Annabelle Drusiadis, swimming and diving, Cyprus. Benita Fitzgerald, track and field, cross country, USA. Willie Galt, track and field, cross country, USA. Stan Hamilton, boxing referee for the USA. Stan Huntsman, track and field, cross country, USA. Tim Karen, athletic trainer, USA. Ace Miller, boxing, USA. Kathy Rattray, track and field, cross country for Jamaica. Bernard Taylor, boxing, USA. Cindy Noble, basketball, USA. Jill Rankin, basketball, USA. Holly Warlick, basketball, USA. And Pat Head Summitt, basketball, USA.
The winner of the Will McCamey Spirit Award is Ty Hurst, a guard at Carter High School. Ty has alopecia, and he faced some ridicule, but he didn't let that stop him. He averaged 21 points, he averaged 5 rebounds, and 3 steals per game. He was named All-State and selected as a finalist for Mr. Basketball. Ty is signed to play with UNC Pembroke. The Will McCamey Spirit Award, Ty Hurst.
I experienced a lot of heckling from student sections and from players, always trying to get under my skin and get me off my game. All that was my fuel. The more you talked and heckled me, the better I played. Winning the Will McCamey Award is an honor. I would like to thank my parents, my mom and my dad, out just pushing me and making me the man I am today.
Each year, the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame adds 10 new members. Each year, unfortunately, we lose some members. We wanted to spend a moment to honor and reflect back on the members of the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame who passed away over the last year. This event each year would not be possible without our great sponsors, many of whom have been supporting this event since it started 39 years ago. We'd like to take a moment to thank those sponsors, thank them for their support of the Hall of Fame and also of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Tennessee Valley. Our presenting sponsor, First Horizon. Founding sponsors, Cherokee Distributing Pilot Company. Our platinum sponsor, Humana. Speaker sponsor, Only Jesus. Hospitality sponsor, Phillips and Jordan. Our gold sponsors, Buck and Linda Vaughn, in memory of Emmett and Sal Vaughn. In honor of Emmett P. Buck Vaughn Jr. from Linda and family. Regal, Dean and Ann Skadberg. Our silver sponsors, A&W Office Supply, Clayton Homes, Goodson Brothers Coffee, Joe and Ruth Fielden, Wayne and Kathy Payne, Michael and Francis Petty,
Connor Concepts,
Schaffner Kaltoff, Mechanical Electrical Services, the Trust Company of Tennessee, UT Sports Medicine. Charles Davis is one of the most popular and respected sportscasters in the nation. This year he moves his talents to CBS as one of the top analysts on NFL games. He also continues his work for the NFL Network. Charles was born in Elizabethton, Tennessee. His family moved to New Paltz, New York when he was 2 years old. Charles returned to Tennessee in 1982 to play football at UT, wanting to become the next Condredge Holloway, his boyhood idol. He came as a quarterback, but he was switched to the secondary where he found a home. A member of the 1985 Sugar Vols, Charles was a key player and a leader for Tennessee during his 4 years as a starter. He earned his degree and then a master's in history at Tennessee. After graduation, Charles held several interesting and challenging jobs. An assistant athletic director at Stanford, director of United States Olympic Training Center, manager of sports operations at Disney World, and a PGA tournament director, all the while trying to work his way into television, which he finally did in 2002, working for Jefferson Pilot on its college football package. He's worked his way all the way up the TV ladder and is now calling NFL games on CBS. He has a great story to tell, and we welcome Charles Davis.
Hello to all, I'm Charles Davis, and what an honor this is for me to make a short address here for the 2020 Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. This is obviously a special event, recognition of the incredible achievements and accomplishments of the people being honored. Congratulations to each and every one of you. I know we all wish that we could be together and let each of you bask in the deserved spotlight and have you truly feel the love, but I also hope that you can feel it anyway because you have earned it. To say that this year, 2020, is unusual is the classic understatement. Unique, unexpected, special, even scary would be more appropriate words. And let's face it, we're all going to be okay taking our chances with 2021. But in many ways, you, the 2020 Hall of Fame inductees, will be remembered for even more than why you're being honored here. For your character, your toughness, your perseverance during these difficult days, what you have done with your lives, the goodness, the joy you provided to so many in this world. All of you are exactly why this event was not canceled. We all needed to acknowledge and applaud you and thank you for being so wonderful. So as you enter the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, I urge you to reflect, as I suspect you already have, on a few things. Starting with, how did you get here tonight? What was your path? Who and what sparked your interest, helped light the fire that is your passion, and kept it burning? For me, it was a group of people. It was my parents, my teachers, my coaches, my community, my friends. In fact, my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Helen Catant, she believed in me at the age of 5 and actually reiterated that belief to me 3 days before we lost her, before she passed away, when I was 21 years old and getting ready to head over to the Japan Bowl to play as a senior all-star. That belief was powerful and has kept with me and stayed with me throughout my lifetime. I thank her each and every day for that belief in me and for lighting that fire. And I know that each of you do the exact same thing with each of your mentors. All of you Hall of Famers are indeed special people in order to have earned this honor. And I know that you're going to continue to help others towards joining you in this and plenty of other Halls of Fame as well. The best things that have happened to me in my life, especially professionally, have happened when I've given fully of myself. And what I mean by that is when I've tried to just hoard success strictly for me and cut others out of the deal, that hasn't worked very well. If someone asks me for help, if there's an aspiring broadcaster seeking my counsel, I try to give fully of myself because I think that's the best way to do things. I don't care if we're competing for the same job. Let the chips fall where they may. When we give, we usually get back really, really well. And I know you guys have done that your entire lives and will continue to do so. And I thank you for being who you are and in doing just that. Well, virtual or otherwise, this is a time of joy, a time of triumph, of recognition. Again, congratulations to each and every one of you. In 1982, this Elizabethton, Tennessee born and New Paltz, New York bred lad arrived in Knoxville, Tennessee seeking his fortune. No better choice has ever been made by me. I thank you all for letting the world know that this city and area, Knoxville, Tennessee, is truly a special place in this world of ours. And I commend the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame for recognizing and illuminating your greatness. Another tremendous honor for each of you, well deserved. Please take care, stay safe, keep making the world tremendous, and as my head coach at Tennessee, Johnny Majors, would say, straight ahead.
Thank you, Charles. Our volunteer board members of the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame put in hours and hours of work organizing and putting on this event every year. I'd like to take a moment to thank them. John Dempster is our chairman. The late Emmett P. Buck Vaughn Jr., past chairman and founder. Dr. Ken Belak, Howard Blum, Larry Cox, Joan Cronin, Bob Davies, George Dinwiddie III, James A. Haslam II, Jimmy Himes, David Jones, Bob Kessling, Roy Kramer, Suzanne Lane, Donaldson M. Leake, Steve Lucas, Doug Mooney, Adrian Pierce, Fran Petty, Dr. William Powell, Tim Priest, Dr. Jerry Punch, Dean Skadberg, Matt Stolkamp, Brad T. Sweet, Linda Vaughn, Dean Weingartner, and Bart McFadden. The highlight of this event each year is the induction of a new class into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. The class of 2020 covers multi-sports, athletes, coaches, administrators, and broadcasting, all with deep East Tennessee roots, all ascending to great heights in their chosen profession and sport. Our first inductee is Rob Black, the head coach at Fulton High School. Rob followed in the footsteps of his dad, Bob Black, also a member of this Hall of Fame, as the head coach at Fulton. Rob was a two-sport star at Fulton, graduating in 1984. He went on to play football and baseball at Carson Newman. Rob returned then to Fulton after graduating from Carson Newman, first as an assistant coach and offensive coordinator for 19 years. Then he was the head coach from 2011 to the present. Rob's been part of 6 state championship teams at Fulton, 3 as an assistant coach and 3 in 2012, 13, and 14 as the head coach. A 6-time Region Coach of the Year and the 2012 Prep Extra Coach of the Year. In 2013, Fulton set a state record, averaging 57 points per game. Between 2012 and 2015, the Falcons won 36 consecutive games. 2 of his players have been named Mr. Football in the state. Our first inductee, the head coach of the Fulton Falcons, Rob Black.
Knoxville is home to me. It always has been. And, when I look at the names, and I've mentioned some of them, my dad and Buck Coatney and, Jody Wright, and then the list goes on and on. I mean, guys from the University of Tennessee and pro athletes and so forth that have come out of this area. It's a tremendous bank of names that you see in the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. So it's very humbling. Well, there's been so many different people that have meant so much to me and helped pave the way for me in my career. And a tremendous amount of unbelievable players that have played for myself, played for Fulton over the years, and just guys that have not only been great players but great people, and guys that have went on and played in college and the NFL, and my past coaches, and then I guess most importantly my family. From my mom and dad to my wife Michelle, my 2 daughters McKaylee and McKenna, who have shared me for a long time with a bunch of high school age kids. And so my wife's been a true fan, and my daughters have had a ton of brothers.
Our next inductee is Mark Connor. Mark was a Topps College All-Star at Manhattan College in the Bronx, once striking out 20 batters against Columbia. Drafted by the Minnesota Twins, he pitched in the minor leagues for 2 years before taking a graduate assistant coaching job at the University of Tennessee in 1974. He stayed on the Tennessee coaching staff until 1978 when he entered professional baseball. He was a pitching coach in the big leagues with the Yankees, Arizona, Texas, Toronto, and Baltimore. Rick Honeycutt, Tommy John, Ron Guidry, Randy Johnson, Roy Halladay, and R.A. Dickey were among the great pitchers he coached. Mark returned to Knoxville in 1988 and 1989 as the head coach at the University of Tennessee. After those 2 years, he then returned to pro baseball. In 1994 and 1995, working with Toronto, he was named the pitching coach for the Tennessee Smokies. Since arriving here in 1974, Mark and his wife Kate have kept their home in Knoxville. One of the top pitching coaches in baseball history, Mark Connor.
First of all, I got to begin with the fact that my baseball career started out at playing for a boys club a long time ago. So the distinction of being named to the Hall of Fame is a special distinction for me. Going from that point forward, I have a lot of people in my life that I'm very appreciative of, people that have helped me through my career. Can't name them all, but I'll name a few. Coach Bill Wright at the University of Tennessee gave me my first opportunity to coach after I was released by the Minnesota Twins from a playing career that was cut short by injury. Coach Wright gave me the opportunity to coach. From there, I went with the Yankees. George Steinbrenner, the owner of the Yankees, gave me the opportunity there. Also gave me the opportunity to be a big league coach, which a lot of people don't get that opportunity. Having had the opportunity to work for Yogi Berra, Billy Martin, Lou Piniella, and especially for Buck Showalter, who's a good friend of mine, and we've been together a long time. Just about everywhere Buck's managed, I've been his pitching coach. So, from a baseball standpoint, those were the people that really influenced my career. And other than that, the most influential people or the most important people in my career have been my family. My wife, Katie, we've been married 48 years, and my 3 children, Jenny, Shannon, and Ryan, they sacrificed a lot, having had to leave Knoxville every summer, go wherever I was, whether it was in Greensboro, North Carolina, or whether it was in Phoenix, Arizona, or Toronto, Canada. And, they gave up a lot so I could continue to do what I did in baseball. being inducted into the Hall of Fame is a great distinction anytime, but especially when it comes from your hometown. To be recognized for what you did in your career means a lot. And as I said before, having started my baseball career in the boys club really resonates a lot more, I guess it would, than if you didn't have any kind of connection to the boys club.
Stan Cotton, a tremendous high school football player at Farragut High School, coached by Ken Sparks. A highly touted quarterback, his career was cut short by a knee injury he suffered the summer before his senior year. Even though he had the knee injury, he was still recruited by several SEC schools. Stan decided to turn to broadcasting. He was hired by WIVK Radio while still attending UT as a sports reporter in 1980. Stan got the opportunity to do play-by-play for Carson Newman on the radio and was hired by Channel 8 as its sports director. After 12 seasons calling Carson Newman football, he was offered the job at Marshall University. He stayed at Marshall for 4 years when he was offered the play-by-play job at Wake Forest. Stan now enters his 25th season as the voice of the Demon Deacons. A four-time winner of the North Carolina Sportscaster of the Year Award, and in 2019, he received the Lindsey Nelson Award as one of the nation's top college football announcers. Tonight, he goes into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. Stan Cotton.
I really can't tell you how honored I am to be inducted into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. What I can tell you is that being born in Knoxville, growing up in East Tennessee, makes it that much more meaningful. You know, all I ever really wanted to do was play ball. I mean, I wanted to be Todd Helton before Todd Helton was Todd Helton. But when that dream went away, it was broadcasting that kept me close to sports. And I really have to thank my dear friend, the late Coach Ken Sparks, in nudging me toward this new area, this new endeavor in my life. And when I got started, what a great place to begin, right? WIVK Radio, great pros like the late, great Bobby Denton, Mike Hammond, of course, my dear friend Bob Kessling. But it was play-by-play that I really wanted to do. Back to Coach Ken Sparks, gave me that opportunity at Carson Newman in football and basketball, then on from there after 12 years to Marshall, now here at Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, year 25, coming up, 40 great years. It's been a great ride for me. So many people to thank for their help along the way. Congratulations tonight to all of the rest of the inductees. Again, it's my honor to be inducted with you, and a big thank you before I say goodnight to Bridget Jones and the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Greater Knoxville area for all the great work you do for children in this part of Tennessee. Hall of Famer has kind of a good ring to it. I like it. Thank you again, and good night.
Our next inductee is Gloria Dethridge. A 1971 graduate of Bradley Central, Gloria led her basketball team to the state title in 1970. Gloria earned all-district honors for 3 years, all-region and sub-state, and twice earned all-state honors. Her number 13 was retired by Bradley Central. Gloria played at the University of Tennessee from 1971 through 1974. One of the highlights getting to play on a USA All-Star team that played against the Russians. Gloria has been active in the Knoxville community since her playing days, serving on the Knox County Board of Education for 8 years, the Board of Directors for the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, Project Grad, Leadership Knoxville, and the UT Chancellor's Associates. One of the top high school players in Tennessee history, she now enters the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, Gloria Dethridge.
First, I want to give thanks to God who gave me the skills and abilities to play the game of basketball. To my brothers, Terry, Levi, and Alvin, who gave me the opportunity to learn the game by being the sister who always tried to hang out with the boys. And to the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame for the honor of being one of the 2020 class of inductees, along with so many other great sports figures. Playing basketball was an avenue for me becoming the person I am today. I learned leadership, management, and teamwork from being a part of the game I so love. Being the first black female athlete to be a part of the Michigan Avenue Junior High School Indians, the Bradley High School Bearettes, and the University of Tennessee Lady Volunteers, all of which were championship teams, I might add, and is always and will be a special part of my life. After I finished my career at the University of Tennessee, Coach Pat Head Summitt, being the very special person she was welcomed me into the Lady Vols alumni program, even though I played prior to her coming to the University of Tennessee. That within itself is something that I will always cherish. Again, I thank you for the honor of being a part of this year's 2020 class of the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame.
Clark Duncan, a two-sport star out of Erwin, Tennessee. A standout in football, he also set school records in the decathlon and virtually every track event, including the 100, 220, hurdles, and the long jump. He was a part of Johnny Major's first recruiting class at Tennessee in 1977. He was named to the All-SEC freshman team and a second-team freshman All-American. After graduating from Tennessee, he became an assistant high school football coach at Fulton. He was also the head softball coach there. He then became the head coach at Powell High School, inheriting an 0-10 team. He quickly built the Panthers into a playoff contender. After spending 17 years at Powell, he then moved to South Doyle in 2003, where he also inherited an 0-10 program. He turned South Doyle quickly into a playoff contender. 8 of his teams have advanced to the state quarterfinals, 3 to the state semifinals, and 1 a state runner-up. Clark is also the athletic director at South Doyle and was named AD of the Year by the TSSAA. A 1992 inductee into the Unicoi County Football Hall of Fame, tonight he goes into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, Clark Duncan.
You know, when I was growing up in Erwin, Unicoi County High School, my high school football coach, Mike White, had a great influence on me, impacted my life a lot in me choosing the career that I was going to take, as well as my father-in-law, Paul Monk. You know, I went to the University of Tennessee, played there for 4 years, and left there and got into coaching. And about 10 to 11 years later, I'm sitting in a conference up in Gatlinburg, and I had not been in a meeting with through my coaching career, I was able to always have Coach Majors as a resource, somebody I could talk to. He was always open to anything that if I needed, you know, questions, situations, you know. Anyway, I'm sitting in that audience and listening to him speak, and I'm hearing him say things that, excuse me, I get a little emotional about it, because I'm hearing him say things that I had been teaching for the last 10, 11, 12 years, and I thought that was just my beliefs, but it was something that he had installed in me. And so I was so thankful that I had the opportunity after that conference. I sat down with Coach Majors, and I don't know what it meant to him, but I know it meant a lot to me to be able to sit down with him and share with him what he meant to me and how he influenced my life, not only as a person, but professionally as well. And so, you know, he had a huge impact in the things that I've done thus far. You know, such an honor and so humbling to be recognized in this way. But, you know, thinking back over the years, I think, you know, kind of in phases, you know, going to the University of Tennessee as a kid, wanting to play in Neyland Stadium and have an opportunity to do that was huge. And I had a plan all along that I was going to play as long as I could play, then I was going to coach, and then I was going to get into administration, and it all worked that way. And I was very fortunate to have a starting career at Fulton High School, and then great guy in Steve Brewer as a head coach, and coached Robbie Black as a player at that time, and that was special, especially that he's going into the Hall of Fame as well. And then going to Powell for 17 years, you know, we started from scratch. It was a great place to raise a family. I raised my daughter there. Powell's a great community. Spent 17 years there. Thought I was through coaching. Left there and went into administration to South Doyle. And long story short, program went upside down. And 6 years later, the superintendent asked me to take the program for 1 year. Or actually, we tried to hire somebody and couldn't hire anybody. It was that bad. So he talked me into taking it, and I took it for 1 year. Then 11, 12 years later, I'm still doing it. So, you know, it's just been a great run of being in Knoxville and being around a lot of great people. You don't get these kind of awards by something you've done yourself. You know, I just feel honored and privileged to have had such great people, administrators, coaches, great young men that, we've worked with for all these years. And, it goes back to, my wife. We've been married 40 years, and, a coach's wife is a special person to be able to go through what she's gone through, had to raise my child. Kendall was just an unreal young lady, but for the younger part of her life, my wife raised her, and so she's been a great coach's wife, been very supportive, and it's been a great run, and still excited about having a few more years left in me though.
Steve Hamer. He was named Mr. Basketball in the state of Tennessee as he led Middleton High School to the 1992 state championship. Steve was the state tournament MVP and was named to the McDonald's All-America squad. He received his first college scholarship offer when he was in 9th grade. When it came time to go to college, Steve picked Tennessee. A 4-year starter, he made the All-SEC freshman team and was All-SEC in 1995 and 96. He was selected to the All-SEC tournament team in 1996. Steve scored over 1,400 points at Tennessee and is 21st on the all-time UT scoring list. Drafted by the Boston Celtics as the 38th pick in the 1996 draft. He returned to Knoxville after his NBA career and became a teacher, a coach, and athletic director at Apostolic Christian School for 13 years. Steve is currently working at the University of Tennessee as the athletic department's discovery coordinator. Steve also does TV work for the SEC Network as a basketball analyst and works on the Vol Radio Network. Tonight he goes into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, Steve Hamer.
There are many moments in which I look back and I think, we struggled at times at the University of Tennessee to gain a lot of momentum and traction in terms of winning during my career, but it's the memories that I have with teammates. It's the memories that I have with coaches that have poured into my life. One of those individuals had a very long conversation with just day before yesterday. He's the current head coach at Carson Newman University, Chuck Benson. Chuck has been a mentor, a friend. Obviously, he's been a coach. But he has really, really poured into my life. And I'm very, very thankful to have that type of friendship. I was going through a very difficult time after my sophomore year in college and really deciding on whether or not I wanted to continue to play, if I wanted to give the game up, because things weren't going quite as I planned for them to go. But it was in a very dark Thompson Bowling Arena, and it was just he and I, and we sat down and we had a very, very good conversation about how my life could go had I, decide not to play. And, thank goodness I decided to continue, and, the rest is history. So him, and obviously my wife, she has pushed me every step of the way, and I met her after my playing days were over, but, she is very much so the rock that's in my corner, that's always just pushed me and guided me and kind of helped me go along the way. So I'm very humbled, to say the least, and just honored to be amongst the pantheon of greats. You talk about, it's really the who's who in terms of the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. There's many guys in there that I've either played alongside or played with or played against at some point, throughout my career. But to be recognized as a part of such a wonderful group, I was blown away when I got the phone call from Jimmy Himes that morning. I'm rarely ever at a loss of words, rarely. My wife says I talk too much sometimes, so. But I was at a loss for words at that particular moment because I was just so humbled to be even thought about to be, inducted into this such, prestigious Hall of Fame. So just very happy, to say the least. Very thrilled. And I could not be, my family's proud, so I could not be more thrilled than I am right now.
Todd Helton, a two-sport standout at Central High School. He played quarterback on the football team, and he hit .655 on the baseball team his senior year. He was named to the Baseball America All-America squad. Drafted in the second round that year by the San Diego Padres, he elected to play football and baseball at Tennessee. His football career was cut short after 13 games with a knee injury, but he excelled in baseball. Todd led Tennessee to the College World Series in 1995 as both a hitter and a pitcher. He received the Dick Hauser National Player of the Year award. While he hit .370, he also set an NCAA record recording 47 consecutive scoreless innings as a pitcher. Todd was drafted by the Colorado Rockies as the 8th pick overall. He played his entire 17-year big league career with the Rockies, who recently retired his number 17. 5-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, 3-time Golden Glove winner. He holds all the Rockies' records, including games, hits, home runs, and RBIs. He was the 2000 National League batting champion, hitting .372. Twice he finished as the runner-up. A remarkable baseball talent who tonight goes into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, Todd Helton.
I'd first like to thank the Hall of Fame for inducting me into the 2020 class. Knoxville's a very special place to me. It's where I grew up. It's where I learned how to play the game of baseball. From the fields down in North Shore to the Knoxville Stars with Coach Rouse to Knoxville Central High School with Coach Bells. I had a bunch of good people along the way help me learn how to be a professional and play the game at an early age. I'd like to thank my mom and dad. My parents always took me to games, played with me in the backyard. I'd like to thank my wife and kids for letting me concentrate on the game of baseball. Very, very big part of my life. Thank you again for the award. I'm very appreciative of it, and I'm glad that the proceeds are going to the Boys and Girls Club of Knoxville.
Randy Lambert. He played basketball at Maryville College. He returned to his alma mater as a record-setting coach and athletic director. In 39 years as the head coach at Maryville College, his teams made 20 trips to the NCAA tournament. The Scots had 20-21 seasons, made 3 Sweet 16 appearances. Randy won 69% of his games. The 8th Division III coach to win 700 games. He's 42nd on the all-time NCAA list. He's the 4th coach to ever win 700 games at its alma mater. Randy did a remarkable job also as athletic director, raising the funds needed to renovate the Cooper Athletic Center, as well as improvements to the football stadium, tennis courts, and other facilities. Randy also spent 2 years as the commissioner of the newly formed Great South Athletic Conference. Randy now is still involved at Maryville College as the coordinator of the Athletic Facilities Campaign, trying to raise $22 million for an overhaul of the athletic facilities at the school. A truly great basketball coach and administrator at Maryville College, Randy Lambert.
Well, I started at Maryville College in 1980. 80-81 was my first season, and first few years were a little lean. I think around 84-85, we were in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference with a bunch of smaller colleges up in Virginia. And we won the regular season that year. We were 11-3 within the conference and made it to the finals of the conference tournament, lost to Roanoke, which was a very strong program back then. And I felt like we had turned the corner because we were being competitive. We didn't make it to the NCAA tournament that year. That began more into the 90s. We had a run in the 90s where we went 12 consecutive years. Sort of felt like we had made it then. But 91, 92, I guess, was my team that went the furthest in the NCAA tournament. We made it to the round of 8 and lost in overtime to Wisconsin-Platteville, who was coached by Bo Ryan at that time. And tough loss, but I really felt like we had accomplished a lot in that given year. And every year has been a lot of fun. Each year has different challenges, but I've enjoyed the relationships that I've established with my players. Well, I was very fortunate that I grew up within the Maryville City school system and had a lot of good coaches throughout my younger days. Bill Phillips and Jim Campbell were my high school coaches. They taught me so much about the game and just about life. I had the opportunity to play for Coach Boydson Baird, who was a longtime coach and continued to be my mentor through my years, even when I started coaching. Coach taught me a lot about life and just how you're supposed to treat people. My first job, I got real adventuresome in my life. I moved all the way down to Lenoir City, and my first job was with Willie Joe Smalley. I worked for him. He was the head coach there, and couldn't have been a better first job because he taught me so much about organization and practice preparation, and was an X and O guy, knew a lot about the game, and he taught me so much about the game and how to handle parents and how to handle your players. And so I learned so much from Coach Smalley. But all those guys really had an impact on my life. Probably my mother and my father had the greatest impact. Both of them were extremely competitive. Dad was a successful businessman with Vulcan Materials, and he taught me a lot about work and how you handle people. And my mother, just the way she treated people, any person she met, she was always so nice to them and always asked about how they were doing. And I was very humbled when I received the email, the notice about being inducted into the Knoxville Hall of Fame, and it meant a lot to me. I grew up listening to John Ward on the play-by-play of the UT football and basketball games, and spent many an afternoon in my driveway going up against, in the imagination games, going up against Billy Justice and A.W. Davis, and I never lost those games, but it was a lot of fun just to think that I was recognized with a lot of the greats out of Knoxville, and it means a lot to me.
Our next inductee is Andy Landers. Andy grew up in Maryville. He attended Tennessee Tech and got into coaching right out of college. He started at Roane State at the age of 22. He applied for a job as an assistant basketball coach for the men's team, but he found out the job also included being the head coach of the women's team. Andy's uncle, A.J. Wilson, was a legendary women's coach at Wallen High School, so he knew something about the women's game, and he took the job. Andy turned the women's program into a national power. 4 years later, at the age of 26, he wrote Vince Dooley, the athletic director at Georgia, and applied for the women's head coaching job there. He quickly turned the Lady Dogs into a national power. 32 20-win seasons, 19 top 10 finishes, 5 Final Fours, 7 SEC championships, 4 SEC tournament titles. Only the 8th coach to win 850 games at one school, 4 times the National Coach of the Year, 100% graduation of 4-year letterman. Elected to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2007, the State of Georgia Hall of Fame in 2009, and tonight he goes into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, Andy Landers.
First of all, I want to thank everyone associated with the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. This is an honor. You know, when you grow up in East Tennessee, and one of your biggest influences throughout your youth was a coach named Ray Mears at the University of Tennessee. I mean, he was a mentor to me. He was a friend after I graduated from college, and to even think that I'm going into a Hall of Fame where Ray Mears is a Hall of Famer is an honor. You know, I've been fortunate. I have been blessed throughout my career. I've been surrounded by good people. First of all, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my own family. You know, my wife, Pam, high school sweetheart who grew up in Louisville, Tennessee, not far from here. My son and daughter, Drew and Andrea, who've been very supportive throughout my career. But most importantly, I think my parents, my mother, the former Ethelene Landers, my 94-year-old dad. I'm the product of good parenting. I was raised right. and I really appreciate that. But aside from that, I think to be successful in sports, you have to be surrounded by good people, and I've been blessed. I never scored a basket. I didn't get an assist. I didn't rebound. I didn't block anybody out, and I didn't guard anybody. But I had a lot of great players who did all those things very well, and because of that, our teams experienced a great deal of success, and today I'm honored because of their efforts.
Mike Murray. He's been part of ice hockey in this town for over 30 years. He grew up in Kingston, Ontario. He was a born hockey player, worked his way up through the junior ranks and made it all the way to the NHL with the Philadelphia Flyers in 1987. His association with Knoxville hockey started in 1989 when he signed with the Knoxville Cherokees. He played 5 seasons with the Cherokees and later also played with the Knoxville Speed and the Knoxville Ice Bears. Mike got in the golf business after his playing days were over, operating River Islands Golf Course. During that time, River Islands was named the #1 public course in the state. Hockey called him back in 2005 as he joined the ownership group of the Ice Bears. In 2006, Mike was named the president and general manager. Under his direction, the Ice Bears have won 4 SPHL championships. He has played a major role in keeping ice hockey vibrant and exciting in Knoxville as both a player and as an owner. Tonight, he skates his way into the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, Mike Murray.
My agent asked me to come here to play 20 hockey games, and obviously fell in love with the city, and now I'm part owner. And obviously, the thing I love about this area are the people. The people that make it go. To support hockey in the South is a pretty big deal as well. So, but when you see it all come together, and obviously it's such an honor to be nominated, to be inducted, to obviously recognize all the things that a lot of people here, like, yeah, it's me right now, but so many people, so many great coaches, players, great staff that I've had, and obviously our co-ownership is local owners that keep the professional hockey team here, and it's just an absolute privilege to be able to do what we do in the community. I didn't get to the arena for all those practices and all those games by myself, early on. And gosh, I think even my dad, he should have invented front-wheel drive, because a lot of times going through snowbanks, he would go through backwards. That was his version of four-wheel drive. But, sleeping in the back window, I mean, all the things that we're not doing now, but just, obviously my family first and foremost, just giving me the ability to kind of show the skills that I was able to show, to be able to be drafted not once but twice. First in junior, to move away from home at 15 was a big deal. It's pretty common in Canada, but and then to be drafted as a 17-year-old for the New York Islanders. I mean, you don't get that opportunity every day, and obviously I have them. My sister's one of my biggest fans as well. My brother was right there with me, and just to go through all that, to be able to play pro hockey is just an absolute blessing. One of the great things about being a professional hockey player and on the administrative side is the community involvement. And obviously it's a blessing to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but it's even nicer honor to realize what it's going towards and what it's for. And that's the Boys and Girls Club, and couldn't be happier to do that. I've done many things like this in my career for different entities, but Boys and Girls Clubs all over the place are such a special place, and it's just a nice thing to be a part of.
We want to congratulate the new members of the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, and also congratulate our other award winners tonight. The big winners, though, from this evening, the young people at the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Tennessee Valley. Proceeds from this event will go directly to fund the programs and activities at the clubs all over East Tennessee. During this difficult time, one of the best investments you can make is in our kids. We hope you'll continue your support of the Boys and Girls Clubs, especially when it's now needed the most. Our thanks again to WVLT for its production of the program, and thanks to you for watching and being a part of the 2020 Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. Have a good evening. I'm Bob Kessler.